When we look into the night sky, the moon has a different view each night. Some nights, the moon might look like a narrow crescent. Other nights, the moon might look like a bright circle. And on other nights, it might not be able to see at all. The different shape of moon that we see at different times of the month are called as moon's phases. And the moon's phases divided into 8 phases or shapes. Why does this happen, and how this moon looks with the 8 shapes? The shape of the moon isn't changing throughout the month. However, our view of the moon does change. The moon does not produce its own light. There's only one source of light in our solar system, and that is the sun. Without the sun, our moon would be completely dark. What you may have heard referred to as moonlight is actually just sunlight reflecting off of the moon's surface. The sun's light comes from one direction, and it always illuminates or lights up one half of the moon, the side of the moon that is facing the sun. The other side of the moon is dark. On Earth, our view of the illuminated part of the moon changes each night, depending on where the moon is in its orbit or path around Earth. When we have a full view of the completely illuminated side of the moon, that phase is known as a full moon. But following the night of each full moon, as the moon orbits around Earth, we start to see less of the moon lit by the sun. Eventually, the moon reaches a point in its orbit when we don't see any of the moon illuminated. At that point, the far side of the moon is facing the sun. This phase is called a new moon. During the new moon, the side facing Earth is dark. The moon has 8 phases which influence to our view each night. The question is, what are the 8 main moon phases? Here these are. New moon. This is when you can't see the moon easily at all, because the part that is illuminated by the sun is on the side of the moon pointing away from Earth. This phase happens when the moon is between the sun and Earth. Because the moon's orbit around the Earth is tilted by about 5 degrees, it's usually either above or below the sun, but sometimes it lines up directly with the sun, and this creates a solar eclipse. On average, a solar eclipse happens between 2 and 5 times each year. Waxing crescent. As it moves in its orbit, a small sliver of the moon becomes visible. It takes a crescent shape because of the moon's roundness. We only see the edge of the part that's illuminated by the sun, and that edge is on a round object, so it appears curved. First quarter. This is when half of the moon's illuminated surface is visible from Earth. This is the equivalent of saying we are seeing 1/4 of the total moon surface illuminated, hence the rather confusing name. Waxing gibbous. When more than half of the moon's surface visible from Earth is illuminated, we call it a gibbous moon. Full moon. When the moon is on the opposite side of the Earth from the sun, we see the entire near side of the moon illuminated. For the same reason, we don't have solar eclipses with every new moon. We don't get lunar eclipses with every full moon. The moon's orbit around the Earth is tilted by about 5 degrees, meaning sometimes it's below our shadow and sometimes it's above it. But every once in a while things line up so that it does go through the Earth's shadow, and we get a lunar eclipse. Waning gibbous. After the full moon, the illuminated portion of the moon visible from Earth begins to wane, or decrease in size. During the waning gibbous phase, the moon's surface visible from Earth is still mostly illuminated. Third quarter. This is when half of the moon's illuminated surface is visible from Earth. The illuminated part is the half of the near side of the moon that was not illuminated at first quarter. Waning crescent. The final phase of the moon is the waning crescent, which happens when only a small sliver of the moon is visible on the far side of the moon's visible surface compared to the waxing crescent, before it disappears into the new moon phase once again. Finally, the moon displays these 8 phases one after the other as it moves through its cycle each month. It takes about 27.3 days for the moon to orbit Earth. However, because of how sunlight hits the moon, it takes about 29.5 days to go from one new moon to the next new moon.